The money man. Yeah. You can sit here. Good morning. We'll call this meeting to order. It's 10 o'clock. The Policy and Procedures Committee, Monday, June 1st. I would like to know if everyone's had a chance to look at the minutes and if we could get a motion to approve them.
Support.
All right, all those in favor? Any opposed? All right, they're approved. It looks like we have no old business, so let's go to new business, the AI policy.
Thank you. So as we have been talking lately, we were talking about creating an AI policy because we currently do not have one. And we know that people are using AI for a number of different things. So we wanted to make sure we had a policy to help protect the individual users as well as the information that they are using. So if you could flip through to your packet, excuse me, and go to I want to go to the statement of policy page. So flip down one more page, please. You could go to that one, because this actually gets into the meat and potatoes of the policy a little bit more. And I want to just indicate that, as with any policy, I would not be surprised if this gets revised periodically due to situations that we have not been able to think of yet. So I'm going to go through in quite a bit of detail since this is the first time we have had this policy so that everybody here is familiar with it. So as we start out under the statement of policy, item A is actually use of AI. And we all want to acknowledge that AI serves as a tool for enhancing productivity, yet it should not replace human judgment or creativity. We want to make sure that anytime an employee is utilizing AI, that they are also using the human element. In other words, they are reviewing the information that is coming from whatever system that they're using to make sure that it is accurate. And it's important that depending on how it's being used, that the information is being fact-checked. We want to make sure that, and as I indicated in item B here, it says users are responsible for vetting all AR provided data to ensure it is current, accurate, and legally sound. We do not use AI for any personal decisions. So in other words, we are not using this in the hiring process or any kind of disciplinary process. We have heard that some counties or some municipalities are using AI as a way to kind of go through applications and screen people out depending on a certain point system that they may use. And we are not doing that. We are using the human element. So we are reviewing all those applications as well as any type of disciplinary action or dismissals are not being dependent upon AI. We also want to make sure that if an employee is utilizing AI, that they are letting their supervisor know. We have some county departments in which the department head may not want AI to be used in the work that is being done. And also, it's important to protect Lenawee County data, the integrity of it. We are asking that individuals refrain from any kind of confidential information into the AI platforms and make sure that they're complying with all internal guidelines. Different departments have different types of guidelines that they are required to follow. As an example, under the health department in our office in HR, there are Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act that we need to make sure we're compliant with, in other words, HIPAA, as well as it is subject to the Criminal Justice Information or CJIS requirements. Going into kind of expanding on that, we talk about confidential data. And we should always assume that any kind of data that you are putting into, whether you're using Gemini or ChatGPT or some other form of artificial intelligence, that data is going to be potentially shared at some point, some way, somehow in the future. So it's important that we not put confidential, private, information out there. That data, and then we have a list here of what that data could include: usernames, passwords, bank accounts, any other kind of protected information. Now, there are some departments, and like I said, we have a wide variety of departments and services that are being provided. And so some may have a very closed loop, if you will. And so in those cases, they may be using an AI type program to put some information in that we would otherwise be deemed confidential. But because of the system's nature, it is something that helps them with what they're doing. But in general, for majority of our users in the county, we want to be very careful that we're not putting any kind of personal or protected information out there, because you can just assume, just like Facebook or any of the other social media platforms, once it's out there, it stays out there. So we had this discussion in a management team the other day, because somebody asked, what about like emergency plans or very specific data like that? And the answer is no, do not put any of that out on any kind of AI generated materials. And I want to think, I've got Director Rickner here now. So if there's anything that you want to add as we're going through this, please do so. Part C of this policy talks about the evaluation of AI services, excuse me. It's important that all of the AI tools that are being utilized have been vetted through the county's IT department prior to use, to make sure that they are meeting all of our security requirements. Personnel are expected to utilize Lenawee County approved AI services and no other. And it's important that Lenawee County maintains the authority to restrict access to any AI service. I don't know why I'm having difficulty with IA and AI this morning. But we want to make sure that these services are being vetted through IT for obvious reasons. Security, want to make sure they're not trying to bypass any of our other systems, and the potential for any kind of, we're going to call it an event on county information, is always a continual threat. So we want to make sure that if people are using AI, that they are complying with all of the policies and restrictions that have been put in place. Moving on in the same policy under the compliance section, it's important, and this includes all of you as commissioners, that all elected officials, judges, and department heads or their designees are responsible for implementing these policies and ensuring that all staff is in compliance within their departments. So we are looking at the department heads to make sure that their employees are aware of the policy and are using it appropriately. We also reserve the right to audit compliance through network monitoring, data analytics, and routine security inspections. And that would be done by the IT department. Any individual who is found violating this policy will automatically have those privileges removed. So they will no longer be able to access any kind of AI materials that they're using, and is also potentially subjected to some sort of disciplinary action up to and including termination, depending on the violation that is in hand. And that would be determined by the department leadership and or the county administrator. Exceptions to the policy, we always have someone that needs an exception. And so if we do that, that exception will be in written format and we'll go through an approval process. And just to follow up on this policy, a reminder that non-compliance, this failure to follow these guidelines may lead to disciplinary measures, including termination. Also, contractors in violation of this policy risk losing access to all county systems and data. So it's not just employees, but it is for others also. So if we go back, I'm sorry, then the last page on this policy is an acknowledgement form. One of the plans is that we plan on pushing things out through a local GovU, and will require employees to review the policy and acknowledge through this system right here. And that makes sure that we have something in the personnel file and on record saying that I have seen this, I acknowledge it, and I agree to comply with it. That way we can't have anyone later say, well, I didn't know. So if we go back to the second page so we're going to scroll back up kind of to the overview page. the reason I skipped this page is because this basically summarizes all of the things that we were just talking about. And the overview, basically, employees are strictly prohibited from entering confidential, sensitive, or non-public data into a third-party AI tool and must actively mitigate risks related to algorithms, bias, and misinformation to maintain the public trust. Again, things like bank account numbers, security plans, classified or confidential information should not be put out there. The purpose of the policy is to provide the reasonable use of AI to enhance department services and data-driven decision-making while safeguarding constituent privacy, maintaining the integrity of sensitive county data, and ensuring that all AI-assisted outputs remain transparent and subject to human oversight. One example of this is we sometimes at the Board of Commissioners meeting have a large number of policies and proclamations and other kinds of acknowledgements. And we will sometimes go to some kind of AI to help us wordsmith some of those to make sure that we are keeping them as professional sounding as possible. And so we do always, though, fact check those to make sure that we haven't changed something that we didn't intend to. So the policy itself applies to all Lenawee County employees, contractors, and/or authorized third parties of Lenawee County who utilize AI technologies. And also it is a reminder to prohibit the input of personal identifiable information, which we often refer to as PII, or sensitive county data into public-facing AI models while mandating human oversight for all AI-generated outputs to ensure accuracy, transparency, and the prevention of algorithmic bias. So I don't know if anybody has any questions, but that is the policy.
Are there any questions? Or would you like to expand on anything or comment on anything, just as the IT?
No, I mean, all that was very well spoken. Just, again, to mention on, number one, human oversight. First step with using anything AI, just putting your eyes on anything that's given to you from it, making sure that it's accurate. And the other thing is, when anybody in any of the departments, are using anything AI, I would just highly recommend that they go to their supervisor, or department head, and let them know, hey, I would like to use this solution. And that way they can make sure, is it okay to use that? Hey, let me check with IT. Is this an okay one to use? You know, just, I think it's always okay to do a check on that. So, but yeah, other than that, just any questions or anything like that?
Yes, Commissioner Collins.
I'm probably going to display my lack of knowledge of the IT, but my understanding that some of the things beneficial from AI are the speed at which you can gain information, great deal of information. Yet we have to vet all that information. So we're sacrificing against speed by having to vet all the information. And believe me, I am totally supportive of vetting everything. But do we, I mean, are we paying part of a price to vet it and still maintain that we're quicker in getting this knowledge?
I mean, it's case by case. I mean, some of the times, it depends on what you're looking into. If it's something more complex, you'll be using one solution. It's spitting something out at you, and then you'll go to another solution to try and kind of cross-reference. Yeah, maybe. But for the most part, these AI things are, they're getting more sophisticated. Their databases are pretty ginormous. So it's getting better and better as time goes on. But yeah, I mean, you always want to take the time, make sure that the data is accurate, and
I don't have to worry about hell.
what's that?
I don't have to worry about hell. 10,000 what? Hell. Good.
Oh, yeah, Hell 9,000. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you always want to make sure you double check, and if it takes you a little more time, it just depends.
Commissioner Van Doren, you had a,
Yeah,
Or-
there's so many of these out there right now where I take it, we're gonna put a list out of the preferred ones that you'd ask people to use, and then if somebody, for instance, I use Copilot from Microsoft, and I don't know if that's a approved one or not, but if not, then we come to you and bring it to your attention that we want to use Copilot.
Yep, we're currently reviewing which ones we feel that are best for the county to use at the moment. And then we're also looking into moving forward into the future, what avenue we want to take as far as, without getting into all the details, there's actually your consumer free, which is probably more what you might be looking into with your Copilot, Gemini, ChatGPT. But then there are paid,
Mhm.
more enterprise level grade, that follow more, compliances with CGIS and stuff like that, more that the county probably should be getting into in the future. So we're reviewing all that and we'll get that information out to everybody when we get there.
And then I take it, sorry, one more, and then I take it that, this is so new that the potential for modifying this policy is gonna be pretty great as we move along, because we're just
Yeah.
getting into the starting stages of this, so.
Yep.
Administrator Murphy.
One of the things that we talked about kind of goes with what you had indicated, Chairman Van Doren, is that we thought about adding in the policy what the acceptable or allowable uses of, the software that we would allow. But with an ever-changing environment out there of different software coming and going, we decided not to put it in the policy, or we would most likely, we know that we're going to be updating the policy, but if we were to put something that specific in here, we knew that we'd be updating the policy very often. And so we are simply going to probably have IT be sending out an email every so often. The timing has not been identified specifically, so we don't know if it'll be every other month, quarterly, that sort of thing. But with the identified solutions that will be acceptable through IT. So those will be something that'll be sent out and separately from the policy so that we can always be kept updated on that.
Commissioner Collins?
The individual use, excuse me, the individual monitoring of those people using this is gonna be department heads and IT, or will you be monitoring this also?
For the most part, that's why, we wanted to make sure to state in this that it's recommended that, if an employee is going to use AI, that they, let their supervisor, know.
Oh, so at any time they use it. they're gonna-
It's suggested that they let them know,
That's it.
so really, the department should know that it's happening. As far as, IT monitoring it, not necessarily actively, just if, we're notified that something needs to be looked into,
That's it.
yeah.
Gotcha. Any other questions? So I assume then we're ready to vote on this to see if we want to bring this to the board meeting then, correct? Is there a motion to bring this forward on next week's board meeting?
I would so move, that the proposed policy be forwarded to the Board of Commissioners for review.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, this will be brought forward next week.
So,
Yes, go ahead.
so the packet goes out when for the board meeting?
Later this week, Thursday, Friday.
For next Wednesday. Okay. I'm just wondering if we should get this out independently, just so everyone knows to take a look at it too. I mean, because it's gonna be changing, we might as well adopt what we have.
Mhm.
If you want this one, normally any policies that we have passed, we've included in the packet of information that has gone out. But if for some reason you want this one to go out sooner than we have other policies, I can get it out to the commissioners. It's not a problem.
I think, and I agree, what he's asking, correct me if I'm wrong, is that this takes a couple of readings to fully grasp
Right.
it. And think there'd be, certainly there, one commissioner, myself, that has to take time to go over. Or be sent out earlier, so the commissioner.
Yeah, I can just send it out to the county emails for the commissioners this afternoon.
Perfect.
I agree too, that just because it's such a new concept that they may need some time. All right, awesome. Is there any other business? Any public comment? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor?
I
Any opposed?